something happened over the weekend, which was terrible. There was shooting in El Paso, shooting in Dayton, Ohio, which it's terrible. I'm sorry for the families. Like, what an awful tragedy. These shootings are getting outrageous. They're getting ridiculous. Yes, I'm sorry. I am going a little bit, with politics, but we won't fret too much on it. But the reason why I bring it up is after this happened, Donald Trump, he's our president. He actually got on and said this about video games.
We must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace. It is too easy today for troubled youth to surround themselves with a culture that celebrates violence. We must stop or substantially reduce this, and it has to begin immediately.
So he's not talking about local news, right? He's not talking about national news.
Yeah.
All the war and all the shit that they fuel, like that they just pump into our. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, it's fine. All I'm saying is the argument about video games being the problem is, I'm sorry, it's a straw man argument. There's just nothing there to like really back you up. I did some research, and I have well, actually, I'll take it back. I can't take credit. James did some research. Thank you, James. But like, we actually found evidence of studies, and I'm talking like one or two. We're talking studies, and we're talking at like major institutes, like doing studies of why we should stop blaming video games for real world violence. Okay, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to this issue, it's all about being the parent and making sure this doesn't happen. If you promote hatred, there's a good chance your child is probably going to be hateful. No, I mean, I might be out of line by saying that, but Verlaine, you have kids. If you taught them to hate a certain race, they're probably going to follow suit, right? Like,
yeah,
to an extent, but like they will.
I'm 100.
Decent influence, right?
Yeah, I'm 100%. Like, I am for this thing that I don't even have a name for, but in this instance, I would 100% be behind prosecuting the parents. It is 100% the parents' fault. 100%. I don't care what anybody says. They're going to come at me and be like, you don't know, or, my kids do this, blah, blah, blah. You can't stop. No. If you're a good parent, your kids don't grow up to be like this. It might not be you saying, oh, hate this person, or, end everything with violence, because sometimes violence is the answer. But I'm saying it can also be spawned from neglect. And then what happens is, this is what happens. These kids go and they're neglected and beat up in school, and they come home and their parents, they might not mean it, but they're neglecting their kids. The kids are alone for whatever reason, and the parents don't get involved to find out why. Sometimes it's hard. You find out why, and if you can't find out why, you balance it out with good acts and show them that whatever you know what I'm saying? So when this happens, the cops are like, oh, now we have to get involved and really get into why this dude did this. And then they go and they talk to his family, and they aren't going to say, oh, we don't know, we neglect him, because it's on record. So they're naturally going to lie, especially if who they're lying about is dead. It sounds morbid and crass. That is why this issue only comes up when there's death involved. With kids and death, that's when we hear about this. It will never be resolved. It will never be resolved. It just won't. Like, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Like, there's studies that show that there's nothing related, and then there's the morons who can just be like, well, the kid only played video games, so that's got to be it,
and call it all fake news. Like those studies don't weigh on any. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, here's the deal: if you're going to, and I'm not doing, I'm not going to be the guy. Hey, if you're gonna do this, you better do that. But at the same time, if you're going to limit violence in video games, or limit violent video games at all, you're gonna have to not stop there. You got to limit violence on TV. You got to limit violence in movies. You got to limit violence in any particular thing, even if it's on Twitter. Like there's so much. If you're gonna start one, it is a slippery slope. So to just say that video games are the problem and this is why this is happening is, like I said, it's a straw man argument. There's nothing there's no validity to back that up. And like they're just saying it because they're just using it as a scapegoat because it's an easy one to say, because that's what people are saying, so people will just follow suit.
You can't,
you know,
you can't blame.
That's a familiar argument. Well, let's believe them. You know, like I don't know.
Who would you blame besides video games in this situation? The people that you blame are the school, which you're not going to do. Sure. The parents and their family, which you'll never be able to prove. The people that sold the guns and gun rights, they're never going to touch any of those issues. So they're going to and they're not going to say, "Oh, the news is full of violence," or all of these horror movies and shit, and how desensitized Netflix. If you have Netflix, there's nothing stopping your kid from watching any of that stuff. They could just, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's never going to get resolved. It is kind of biased for us to be taking the side, but
no, you're right, and that's fair. That's actually very fair.
But and there is the science, but
Sure.
we have a guy who is on the show every once in a while, Dave Fenoy, and he posted two things that I thought were very, very like interesting, and it's just pretty much like.
You should have him on.
Just
talk about
no,
it.
you know, because it'll go on forever. He's very political.
That's okay.
Here's the two things that he put, and absolutely true. Video games are played all over the world. Yes, all over the world. All over the world.
He's right.
Other countries do not have these shootings.
Mm-mm.
Mental illness is found all over the world.
Yep.
All over the world. Half the famous people in history had mental illness. They don't have mass shootings. That's it. Plain and simple. The only things that are different between our country and everybody else is our president.
Yeah.
The way that we just give everybody freedoms. Like, you know what? That's I don't get worried about it, and I don't sweat these things. I don't even feel bad.
Gun rights have a lot to do with it.
Absolutely.
You know,
but
I
you
mean,
know what?
I'm not saying, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like, I'm not against guns. I'm really not. I am not against them, but you know, a regulation of anything needs to be in a type of effect. And I don't know. I just feel like maybe they could be doing more.
Well, there's balance. There's yin and yang for everything. And okay, whether I think guns are good or bad or whatever, the fact is, if they're good, then fine. Don't complain when this shit happens.
Sure.
That's it. Like, how about this? All you gun people are cool, but don't you dare side with anyone. And if this happens, be like, oh, well, so it's either this or no guns. They pick guns, so shut up about it. It's going to happen. As long as guns are out there and you're touting it, and we have a president like this, and we have all the laws and all the corruption.
Back that up, right.
It's going to happen. And then fine, whatever.
Grant said in the chat room, he said, sorry, guys, this gets me incredibly heated because my friends have kids who play games, whom are great kids. You both are later games, I imagine, like, you both are later games and are great guys. And you know what? I play games and I'm all right. Well, yeah, I think that's what it is. I think what you're trying to say, it has a lot to do with the upbringing. So if your upbringing says, like I said before, if your upbringing says to hate this race, there's probably a good chance that you're going to take that influence and do that, right?
Yeah, yes. And look, we grew up in the age, like I grew up when Mortal Kombat hit the fucking scene. Like that was the game where everybody thought kids are going to just lose their shit. I grew up through that entire era. I was and am addicted to video games, and there's not one malicious, violent bone in my body. And I'll tell you too, I love shooting guns. I would never kill anyone. I would never do anything like this, ever. You can give me the most violent game in the world. I'll play the most violent game in the world. May not like it, whatever, but it's not going to turn me into anything that I'm not already.
Yeah.
Like, plain and simple. My kids, my daughter plays Overwatch. My daughter plays Minecraft. My daughter plays Fortnite. And I don't fear my daughter shooting up the school.
Some of these politicians are so like, I'm sorry. I don't understand. Like we have to understand that people actually voted these people into the position.
Right.
So like there's one Ohio lawmaker that says, and I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to do that. But blaming the Dayton shootings because of gay marriage, marijuana, and video games. So okay.
They're just tagging things onto this.
Right, exactly. They're just piling on. Oh, not to mention Barack Obama and cross-dressers.
Yes.
All right. That's fine.
All right, I can see the cross-dressers being the reason.
But like, come on, man. Like, like, there's no facts. You're just saying this is the reason. There it is. But I have no facts to tell you. So whatever, vote for me. I like, and I always like see that, and I'm like, really? Like, how did you get this?
And that's the thing is there's no real, you can't really do a true study on something like this unless you study one person from birth till death. And in that case, they're still like, when their eyes are on them, they're not going to go committing crime. So then it's going to go like, no, there's not enough. And the thing is, I think that because of the internet and because of how we have evolved, it's harder and harder to keep things under wraps. Like, anti-vaxxers. Well, soon enough, it's not going to be a thing anymore because that's something that scientific proof can totally back that up.
Right. Daniel, Sunset Rider Daniel is in the room. He said, I love calling him that. He says, I used to play Doom. I played Doom like nonstop growing up because we're right.
And
like,
he's never been to Mars. He never wanted to go to Mars.
That's not what I was getting, but yes, that too. Also, Grant said, I'm a Trump guy, but to blame this on movies, video games, etc. makes me sick. So he's actually a Trump supporter, but he totally disagrees with this. So,
yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, this situation, this and no, because abortion's kind of like almost definitive. Totally but I'm saying this.
I'm not gonna get into that.
When you talk about a subject like the video games and related to death, it's since it's unproven. That's why it's almost like everybody's now like, oh my God, this is a situation and we have to get in on this with our hatred because not a lot of this is happening anymore. Yeah. Like they're already proving everything wrong. They're proving this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. So they can't do anything with video games. Let's just do it. We hate gays. Let's do this. Gays did it. We hate black people. Oh, it was the black people that did this. Like it's I think that this situation is a scapegoat for everything.
He doesn't really hate black people. We're just making a point. Okay, there you go.
Oh yeah, I hope whatever. I don't even, and if you guys think that, I don't even care.
No.
But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just it's just one of those things where it's just the situation, and I'm not even worried about it. I don't care if the president says it. It doesn't mean they're going to put a law against.
No, not at all.
That's why this is America. Like you cannot do anything. Nothing will come from it. People will get worked up, just like the console wars, Xbox, PlayStation. There's no proof that either one is better than the other. There is none.
Other than sales. That's it.
Other than sales.